We're getting ready to go on, Poppy. We're getting ready to go on.
Okay, you
Uh,
on? You on?
hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Good News at Primetime. I am Sylvia Hayes, and we are back here at the aftermath for the election. So there are a few things that's going on, and we need to talk about those. And I have my good friend and co-host, Mr. Reggie Drama. How you doing, Reggie?
We're doing well, quite well. Can't complain.
Oh,
Feeling good. Yes.
well, good, good. And speaking of good, this is good news, and we got good news. My good book, Power Thoughts by Sylvia Hayes. It's global now. You can get it everywhere. YouTube, not YouTube, but Amazon, eBay. You can Google it, and you can find my book. It's everywhere. I even found the spot where it's in German. So
Oh,
yeah, I'm excited about it. I didn't expect all of that, but hey, I welcome it wholeheartedly. So pick up the book. It is very exciting. It's informative. It will enlighten you. It will help you in your life, in your daily work, everything. The book is really good. Everybody needs this book, Power Thoughts. So pick it up, okay? And this show is brought to you by Alive and Kicking, and we're gonna be alive and kicking tonight when we're talking about Trump and the election and all of that kind of good stuff. So right now, let's talk about him not wanting to leave the office. What do you think about that, Reggie?
uh, well, like we said earlier, Trump is that guy. Okay, he's the guy that whatever the edge is, he's gonna run it to the edge. He officially, and this is every election. This is nothing new. Okay, every president up until this president has given a concession speech. But this is the first time an incumbent president has contested an election. Okay,
Yeah,
so we had a new, because even when we were talking about the electoral college, when Al Gore and Bush ran, Clinton was the president. Okay, so it was two contenders, and even when Hillary and Donald Trump, had the problem with the election, Obama was the president. So you had no issue of a sitting president saying, "I'm not going to leave until," you know. But one of the things that he's standing on, but it's causing a lot of confusion, is, and this is all the time, the states don't certify when they go before the Senate and the House of Representatives. That's when they certify the election. All the states, and that's on December the 14th.
right.
Okay, so this is just something normal, but usually most, like I said, this is the first time you had a sitting president that has contested an election. This is a new normal for us. Never before has this, and this is that president that's gonna push it and say, "Hey, I ain't going nowhere." Now, even though it's in the Constitution of the United States that if there's a problem, there would be a special uh, session of the Senate on January the 6th, 2021. If there's a problem, meaning that, and was thought of in the framing of the Constitution. So if there's a problem, it will go before the Senate, but that's probably not going to happen. But this president is pushing that envelope, causing a lot of chaos and disorder. And if you really start looking and listening, a lot of what we call the Trump humpers, they're starting to back a little bit. At first they was like, "He ain't going nowhere, he ain't going nowhere," but then they started to say, "If he goes," you know. And I think he made a mention of it himself in a speech earlier.
Oh, Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, he came close to admitting it, that he
Oh
lost.
yeah.
Yeah, I did see that. He came close, but he wasn't admitting it. You know,
Oh
and
no.
one lady was saying something. They asked her something. He said, they asked her, "Do you think Trump going to be at the inauguration?" She said, "Yeah, he's going to be at his inauguration." I'm like,
Ah,
"They for real?" She's still pumping that Trump going to win. The only reason that Trump get in office is because the electoral votes put him in. The electors, because they have to vote. They will be the one that put him in, even though that's not the norm. But that would be the only reason because they have the final say so. Even though we might think so, but it's the electoral votes that have the final say so. They have
yeah,
to vote on it. You know.
yeah. And that doesn't get turned in until December the 14th.
Okay.
That's that's the only reason. He's putting all this out there, and like I said earlier, this is a unique situation because this is the first time in our modern history, that we've had a sitting president that has contested an election. Okay, so this
Yeah.
this is this is something new, but it was already set in the Constitution how to handle that. So he already knows that. Uh, yeah, I mean, he can say anything he wants to say, but uh, and then when December 14th come, and then all those states, every state says the great state of Georgia gives all 16 of its electoral votes for XYZ guy, and then the great state of Texas. They got to do all that. It's a formality. It's just a tradition on December the 14th, and he just running that edge. And then a lot of people are getting caught up in it, and a lot of Trump humpers are starting to see the picture now because they're starting to understand what it is. And then they're seeing that these states, in Wisconsin, all those states, Georgia, the voting, it didn't change. When Georgia, I think they said Georgia is almost completed with their hand counting of the votes. Okay,
They
and
almost completed.
uh-huh, they said they on track to complete early.
Oh.
Yep,
Okay. That's surprising because I'm thinking they're
yeah,
gonna be going on to next week sometime.
yeah, and all that, and all around every state, they it's the same thing. So these states not gonna spend all that money to do all that,
Right.
you know. And then there are incidents of, I think it was a voter, some guy in Wisconsin. They found out he was a nut. Said that they were dumping meal and all this type of stuff. There's a lot of stuff to get people in a frenzy.
Yeah. And you know what? Now Trump was talking about this fraud stuff. The only fraudulent vote they found so far was a Trump supporter.
Mm.
You know, the only one so far that I know of was a Trump supporter.
Ah,
So let's see, because it would really be fun if he wanted to do all of this recounting, and we found out a lot of his people were the one that was doing this fraudulent stuff that he
yeah.
was talking about.
Well, of uh, a lot of the other people don't want to have a recount going on anyway in their state. Some of the senators that have already run, and these are Republicans
Uh
that
huh.
have already uh, won their race. They don't, they might have been a little afraid earlier, but since they don't want that. So across America, every state, they're not wanting that. They wanted it to stay official, and that just undermines the integrity of the vote.
Right.
And you know, you know, and then that's a distraction. I say here in Georgia, we encourage people not to get distracted because our big thing is the next election. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
because uh, the people that voted, there's nothing else we can do.
Right. You're
You know,
right.
so our next step is to make sure we're ready for January the 5th. And that's the two Senate races. Also, the deadline, if you got people that's on the fence, they can register to vote in Georgia by December the 7th.
Mm. Oh, okay. And still get a chance to vote.
Yeah, they can vote in
And
that.
those people who missed out, make sure you go this time. Because we
Right.
need everybody out there this time for these two Senate races. We
Yeah.
need
And,
everybody.
and that gets us see not to be distracted because we were talking to people earlier, and then we said, well, okay, because people are so confused. They said, what we gonna get to vote again? Man, we're not gonna vote again for the president. Not this. No, they
No.
already have a built-in process for this.
Yeah.
I mean, our next step is the next election and making sure that we vote and making sure that we uh, bring others that did not vote, get them to understand that they can register to vote. They got until December the 7th. That's our mission.
Right. Yeah. December the 7th. So hopefully, they still, there are some people out there doing their voters registration still right now, trying to get more
Yeah,
people out to vote.
yeah,
So if you haven't registered, please do so. Because that's important. Because so if we win these two Senate seats, Democrats take over and Biden can do what he needs to do.
right. Because I think uh, Georgia is really being impressive on this. This is the only state that has two positions in the Senate open. Okay,
Mm,
this is a biggie. That's why it's so much emphasis on Georgia. And if you look at the Senate, okay, when you look at the executive branch, the next most powerful people are the senators. Okay, because even when they impeached the president, he was impeached in the House of Representatives. But the Senate didn't put the final nail in the coffin.
yeah, yeah, you're right. So we're going to we'll see what happened because I'm thinking about you can't double impeach somebody, but
Well, no, yeah, you can't, But if the Senate had been maybe one or two more Democrats, that impeachment would have happened.
yeah, yeah. So you know what? We should have been getting rid of Mitch McConnell, but those people
Yeah,
liked him so much, and I'm
yeah,
wondering whether was there any voter suppression up there then to make him win? No,
yeah.
I'm just
Well, him.
wondering if there was, because it couldn't have been that many people that liked
Well,
him.
well, when you think about you got to because rather than say the whole people, everybody in the state of Kentucky are either racist or stupid. You have to look at some of the work that Mitch McConnell has done for Kentucky. And most people that voted for him say, well, the economics are looking good. Because when you think about Kentucky, you don't think about nothing but the Kentucky Derby. So
Yeah.
he's got to go out of his way to make sure there's industry and different things. So he's done a pretty decent job for the state of Kentucky, and that was one reason that he was brought back.
Oh, okay. So I guess that kind of makes sense, but to see him do what he did in the office, no, for everybody else. And there are a lot of people suffer still in Kentucky.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah. Well,
I
Breonna Taylor, that case is still on the wall, and that's in Kentucky. Uh, maybe I don't know if the DA uh, that was um, oh and we also have John Lewis's seat. That's Kwanzaa Hall that's running. That's another. I'm trying to see when that election is. That might be in January as well.
yeah, they move all the elections to January because something was supposed to be happening. Somebody was supposed to be doing a runoff in December. They moved everything to January.
Because that's the vacated seat of late Honorable John Lewis. Uh, so that's going to be interesting.
So who Kwanzaa Hall running against?
Probably a lot of them. I don't know. I hadn't looked. Well, we got the official, our our local, uh, you know, political expert, Miss Nadine. She's look like she's in the house, so she might be able to share some critical information with us about
Yes.
those races.
Oh, okay. So what? Well, Kwanzaa, if he's going to be on the ballot in January, so that this should be a runoff then race, then wouldn't it?
Um,
He was into supposed to be from December to January to fill the seat, for that time frame. And then Nakima, is that Nakima Williams?
Uh-huh.
Who outright wanted from the Democratic side has a opponent, uh, a Republican opponent. But I'm trying to pull it up for us now. Um, yeah, he was just supposed to fill the seat for just those, like, supposed to have been 60 days originally, but since, everything was moved, uh, it would be less, it's about 33 days that, but I'm
Okay.
trying to look it up for us right now
33 days that he'll be in office.
because it should have been done before December 2nd.
Uh-huh.
But like they always do, just slow poke around and do it when they want to. And now, like you're saying, they're pushing everything to the 5th of January. And
Okay.
that's what I expect them to keep pushing things out so people can be confused on what.
right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying
Okay. So January the 5th, Kwanzaa going to be on the ballot. Is that correct?
to. Should, yes.
Okay.
Let me just double check.
So he is this a runoff or just on the ballot period? He's just running against one other person?
Uh, that's what's confusing.
Yeah. Because
That's
I was trying to look and bring it up, you know, but that's I think Kwanzaa actually, serving out the expired term of
Uh-huh.
John Lewis. Okay, but if John Lewis was alive, he would have had to run. The other young lady has won the Democratic position, so
Okay.
she's got to
Kima.
face. Yeah,
a
she's got to
Republican.
face a Republican.
Okay. So Nakima. Okay. So Nakima is is running. I don't.
I know,
Yeah,
yes. But she was supposed to have been on it, um, originally anyway, as a runoff between her and the other person. And I know that, I've been getting some information on it. Let me just go to the Secretary of State because I was trying to go to the cap and.
Okay, I got it. Kwanzaa Hall is running against Robert Hall. That's what I got here.
You Google Kwanzaa or?
Yeah, my inside person just text me.
Oh, okay. Tell them thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Let me say Robert Franklin. Sorry about that. Robert Franklin. Kwanzaa Hall is running against Robert Franklin.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, runoff. Okay, so Nakima is in office right now. Kwanzaa is in the runoff. Okay, so we got it. So we got to hurry up and get him in office too. Grassroots, everybody.
Well, that's why it's so important not to get hung up on all the Trump antics because we got a very important race here in Georgia,
Yeah.
Right.
and if you get caught up in you know, and especially when you got people you talking to people say, well, ain't no sense in voting. Trump won't leave office, you know, and he gonna leave. But if people start to don't trust the political system, and if we get people to not start to not trust this political system in the process, then they won't vote.
Right. Yeah. So with Kemp, that did put a lot of doubt in there when he was in office as the Secretary of State. So I think that was one of the reasons some people just made it their business to do the balance, the mail in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, because of what Kemp did.
Well, yes. And we were just out there pushing for that as well. Just like to your point, Reginald, earlier we was out doing a voter registration drive in the community. And of course it was at one of the BP service stations in the cab. And one of the young ladies asked the other young lady who was getting in a car, are you registered to vote? Because we're trying to really get those who need an address change, register to vote, to get it in before December 7th. And that way it'll help, even to get more people out there voting, right?
Yeah.
Well, the lady said, I did that. I don't even want to be a part of that process anymore because look, it's like it's what's in our community and so forth. But it's for her to say that she don't even want to vote anymore
Right.
says a lot about where she want to be. I'll just leave it like that. Because if you're part of the process, you're just gonna be where you are.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But shoot, me, I'm ready to vote again.
Yes.
I hope everybody else, because you can't give up now. You can't stop now. The race is not completely won. So
Right.
you can't give up and say, I did this part. No, you got to continue on to the finish line.
Right.
Right.
When,
Right.
when everything is done, then you stop and rest. Because if you stop before we get to the finish line, somebody's gonna fall, and somebody going the race
Mm-hmm.
is not going to be like you want it to turn out to be.
Right.
Oh,
Well,
true.
you look in Georgia, you think all the work that you all out there doing, Miss Nadine. I know uh, Stacey Abrams, pushed some stuff out there, getting people, especially young people, because see, every
Right.
time the news comes on, young people, a lot of these traditional people, kind of know how this process works. Okay,
Right.
but a lot of young people get this, they can get disembobulated early. Or somebody said, well, why vote? You know, they don't leave office. I said, well, we got one guy, that guy. Nobody, everybody else is respecting the process. Okay, you can't let one person, dictate your behavior towards everything else. Like
Right.
got these two seats here in Georgia, very important, and they're going to give you every distraction that you could possibly get. Because see, the Senate seat are probably more important than the presidential seat.
Yeah,
Because they're the one
it
who
is
yeah,
important.
passed the
Yeah,
law.
yeah, they the one to pass. Look at Mitch McConnell. This kind of raising all kind of sand. Okay, now we had, I forgot who we had, Johnny Isaacson and uh, uh but they those were our senators, and then but Purdue, David Purdue is the incumbent, but you know uh those are positions that can change some things, especially going forward. Uh, and with all the distractions that this current president is putting out there, you know, it's it's especially when you look at African Americans, because we just started to get motivated to go back vote, you know, and then
Oh,
now they
yeah.
saying, hey, so we have to do our part to kind of uh, you know, keep our eyes on the prize. Don't get distracted.
Right, you're right. But But it's one of the other things that's going on with this runoff. They're doing a lot of bad advertisement. So because like I was listening at them talking about Raphael Warnock, I'm going, no, that can't be right. Some of the stuff that they're putting out there, and it's not
Well,
right.
it's gonna get nasty. The gloves are off, and uh, since it was nasty on the Republican side between Loeffler and Collins, so it's gonna get nasty on this side between the Democrats and the Republicans. I mean, uh, you know, they got him as a socialist. That all those cold words, socialist. Uh, once they start putting that stuff out there, and then you know, but that's a race that we can win.
Right.
The Democrats can win that race. Now, Ossoff race, excuse me, is a little tighter, I believe. Um, but if people show up and show out, this could really change things for Georgia.
Yeah, it could. Now, John also, he's running against Kelly, right? So Kelly wasn't exactly huh?
He's running against David Perdue.
Okay, Purdue. Okay, yeah. Do they have anything to do with the chickens?
Ah, you know what? But Sonny was his daddy.
No.
Sonny Perdue.
Sonny Perdue?
Yeah, remember the governor?
Yeah, I don't know. Wasn't that his dad?
That's his daddy, or some kin to him.
I know they're related, but I'm trying to figure
out. They related.
I know
might not be his
they
daddy.
Are related. That I remember.
They related. No, it's not his daddy, but they related.
His dad or his uncle or brother or something.
They can.
Yeah, they are kin.
I'm like my man in the Zango. They together.
Yeah.
Lead that.
Yep.
But and because he's working on this. I forgot who he replaced, but he's working at least on his second term.
Who?
Purdue.
Working on his second term.
Well, because he's working to get reelected again. Yeah.
Oh.
He's been in office. Yeah.
Yeah. So wait a minute, because right now he's the Secretary of Agriculture. So when his term is up with Trump, he's going to try to go back into another office, run again.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Which Purdue?
David Perdue
shouldn't. Is that his son?
Well, no, but he's an incumbent. Didn't he held the office before.
Oh, Sonny?
Perdue. No, David.
Purdue's right. David Perdue.
And I think they cousins.
All these Purdues.
Yeah. We have to, John Ossoff has a pretty good, chance of winning. I was surprised, hopefully, because in that race, since they was head to head. It was just him and Perdue. I didn't know that you had to have 50% of the vote in that position.
Yeah. All of them.
Yes, and all of them. You have to have 50 plus one.
Yeah.
Okay.
In order to keep them doing the runoff.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sorry. I was just going to say, just to clarify, as far as the race, from John Lewis, he was supposed, Kwanzaa Holiday supposed to be, doing out the term for those 30 some days, which I know I said earlier, and then looking at Nakima and the other young lady's name I just had up here, Nakima and Angela Stanton King. Nakima got that, because she had uh 80,000, like 85%. So she won the seat. But for some odd reason, for them moving the dates around, I guess they're just gonna go in record or history that who if Kwanzaa, whoever gets it, would have did his turn, you know, out, because that's supposed to have been done way before now anyway. And just like with one of the races, House District 90 in DeKalb with Pam Stevenson, they haven't even said anything about her race. So it's like these things you're having to keep up with in order to make sure the process, is done fairly. And of course, we've always seen it hasn't been done fairly. So, and that's why you all out there, we're having this conversation to keep educating you all to know that you cannot take your foot off not the steering wheel. We don't want feet on the steering wheel. I
The
don't want feet on
pedal.
the steering wheel. You can't take your foot off the gas.
Damn. Yeah.
Hey, put
Hey,
on
but
the
so
steering wheel. I
hey.
guess I gotta laugh in, huh? Don't want the feet on the steering wheel. It'd be like Flintstone with the feet on the ground.
Yeah. but but
Yeah.
uh definitely we have to stay on point. Like you said, keep the foot on the gas, cause they're not letting up, and all of this is part of the process to discourage people.
Mm-hmm.
Especially young African American voters, because just like you said, Miss Nadine, the lady in the parking lot. Because when you start having conversation with people, they say, "Well, they don't do no good." And see, when we take that
Right.
mentality, we have a tendency to sit on the bench. Now, after this election, there will be another election. Okay, you know, and if you get people to lose interest, they think that it's voter fraud and all this type of stuff. And after all the work that many of us have done to register people to vote and bring them into seeing how this how the
Plays
political
out.
process works. You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, it's important that we kind of keep the tempo up. That's why I said this
Right.
president is that guy that's going to push the envelope, and he really doesn't care about the actions and efforts of other people. So we can't let what he's doing stop us from doing what we got to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We still got to get out there. And oh yeah, you can still do the mail-in ballot for this runoff.
Oh
So
yes.
yeah, so don't forget that if you don't want to stand out there in line because this virus is getting really heavy now, request your mail-in ballot. SOS, Secretary of State. You gotta
I
go
would
there.
I would suggest yes, they gonna come probably from the state. They really supposed to come from your county office. And I
Uh-huh.
would
Mm.
suggest to anybody, I know they had drop off boxes for your ballots. Take them to your county election drop off box areas versus sending it through the mail, because we've already seen everything has always been critical, going to continue to be critical, but it's best for you to keep it in your local area versus having to go around in the post office lively, not get it out in a timely manner. If it would be, I would suggest using one of your county drop off boxes to uh, put your ballot in. You're right, Miss Sylvia. Get
Yeah,
those absentee applications in right away so they can, get it back to you. I know the cab usually work, pretty swiftly. Right now, look like Cobb, and I know Cobb started yesterday, but the cab started today with hand counting, recounting those ballots, and they have to be done by Wednesday. So, and because you can't go into the holiday, with all of that. So, like we were saying, just keep yourself engaged no matter what. And I like to say this before I, definitely give the floor back over. Um, you know, we had vote signs holding up. You know what it comes down to?
Right.
I've seen for a long time, and really, with all of this that's been going on, is the visibility. Consistently visibility out there. We know it's not time to vote, but guess what? We standing out there trying to get people registered to vote, whether you have to change your name, change your address. We're out there, right? Holding up vote signs. They honking their horns. It's nowhere near to vote, but guess what? We can be hollering out, vote early.
Yeah.
Get the application in before the 7th. We want you to go back to the poll because we know historically most people don't go back to the polls for a runoff. And this is going to make a big difference. And we need everybody to be energized, like you said, Reginald, and go back out. Just continue to stay apart. Don't sit back down on your fannies. Just continue to also tell 5, 6, 10 people,
Yeah.
help motivate them. We're the motivators, right?
Yeah, we
And the
are. And
motivate,
look, keep it
yeah,
up on your social media pages.
That's
Get
right.
out there. Let them know you got to vote. You got to vote the runoff. And if you have problems trying to vote, this is the time to fix it.
Exactly.
Yeah, because a lot of people they couldn't vote. They had to do provisional voting and all of that. This is time to fix it, so you won't have a
plus,
problem the next time.
That is so true.
maybe as a added motivator, when we look at stimulus checks, things like that, you want somebody in that Senate that's gonna make sure that thing goes through. So sometimes you got to let people know, the nitty gritty is, you know, because the only reason the stimulus check was held up this time was because of the Senate. Okay, so if you can get more people that got an interest in, you, somewhat of interest, then it's a better chance that you can get some things done. You know, and especially under the Biden administration, you don't want to be a situation kind of like uh, President Obama was in office. You know, a lot of times the Senate would be the one to say, I don't care what he sent out here. We ain't going to approve it. We ain't going to vote on it. Even when he nominated the Supreme Court judge, we're not even going to look at him. We're not
And
even going to
that's
see
what
it.
I'm saying. Outright just saying no respect. We don't, but that's what needs to be gained back in this country. And that's what, regardless of who is, people is saying by the way they voted, we don't want another 4 years of this zigzag, disrespect and all the rest, because it does something to your soul, it does something to your system. Continues to see that it, when we try and, say live a good life, spiritual life, healthy life, but you having somebody constantly tearing somebody down, that messes with your psyche, that messes with your mental uh, capacity. So, hey, just keep it straight and clear and know that when somebody telling you to walk left when you're supposed to be walking right, you better walk right. Follow your
Mhm.
own intuitions, follow your own gut feelings, about matters. And you're right, Reginald. All of this been going on. It's just simply time out for it. It really is. It really is because we've been thrown everything the opposite of the way things have been operating. We had gotten to just about to a plateau. A lot of small businesses in operations, um, everything flourishing. I sat back and thought about how, having uh, merchandise coming through the mail. the holiday season where that was the biggest thing, and
Right.
it jerked everybody to like, I don't know what to do. You better know what
Right. Yeah.
to, you know, um, because if you don't, hey, you'll be like they say, fall prey to anything, and we don't want that. We don't want to see our children already feeling desolate, you know, and when they continue to see all of what they've seen, it's like why even strive? You know what I mean? To do anything. So we don't want that to get held up in that spirit of thinking that shucks, I could just live local yoko, okay?
Yeah.
Get through the day and it's all right. No, you keep striving because we have been where you all got to come, right?
Right.
So all of you all out there, I'm saying all that to say this, honey. Keep your focus and keep your guidance to know that all that craziness, try not to get it to settle down in your system and stay down.
That's a good point. During this time, it's more critical. You know, uh, sometimes we got an impatient generation, and we've seen a lot of chaos and disorder. In America. You know,
Right.
and I think at the end of the day, most the people have spoken. That we want to change up. You know, how you treat people uh, makes a difference. Uh, how all this stuff helps people to work together better. But when you polarize the country, you got Americans acting like they at war with each other. You
Mm-hmm.
know, or what mask? People say, "Man, take that mask off. I'm gonna take that mask off." You know, and all this
Mm-hmm.
type of stuff. So you know, this president has pitted each person against each other. You know, and I think uh, one of the things that happen now is people, really starting to pay attention, and it's not a time to lose interest. You know, because sometimes people go, "Oh, it's going back to the same old, same old. They're doing this, they're doing that," and he's going to have to put a lot of rhetoric out between now and January the 21st. Just he is that guy that's not going to stop yapping
We
until
have to
he's gone.
pay it no attention.
You got
Pay
to,
it
yeah,
no
you got to keep
attention.
moving. Yep. Don't let it be a distraction uh, for the election. You're voting, and then don't get so uh, you know upset with other people because you got a lot of people that on different sides. I had a guy. Matter of fact, he got fired a week last week. Him and the guy got into altercation, and when I talked to the brother, believe it or not, neither one of these brothers voted.
Oh,
I'm like, man, y'all didn't even have a nothing in the race, but they got into this thing, and you know, one of them pushed the other one, and you know, the guy ended up being fired. So I said, man, we have to think, and people they got the freedom of speech. I understand that sometimes people say, well, you can say what you want, but you can't back it up. you know, uh, but they're gonna be people that taunt you. They're gonna be pushing your buttons. They're gonna be like, you ain't
mm-hmm.
going nowhere. They're gonna be wearing all kind of hats, t-shirts, and all this crazy stuff. You still got to stay focused. You know, you still have to maintain, your own dignity. Not let somebody, take you uh, to another place when it doesn't have to. Especially when it comes down to the if. You know, we got people arguing and fussing over if he don't leave off, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and all this type of stuff. So,
So
And
let
they
me ask
getting
y'all a
into
question.
thrones.
Let me ask
Mm-hmm.
y'all a question. Since the rise of the virus is so high now, over 130 Secret Service people have gotten the virus or either being quarantined because of the virus. Trump people, working for
okay.
Trump and putting their lives in danger. Do you think that since it's rising and so many more people are dying and stuff, that they will start to listen now when Joe Biden's telling them to cover up and protect themselves?
They got to stand with the one that they in the White House with, and they're not going to listen because truly, innately, your inner self always tell you what to do. But to keep getting a paycheck and to hold up this one is currently in office, they know what to do to, the right thing, but they're not going to because they standing with the one that's in office. And they probably would personally, but politically, they're not going to come out. Now, some may, and some may have already. We just don't know. But um, they probably want to put a mask on, put something on real bad when they've been out there.
So those people who publicly say I'm not wearing a mask and they get the virus, do you think they should be afforded the opportunity to go into the hospital to get taken care of?
Well,
All human life supposed to be
yeah.
saved. That's that doctor's creed. It may not be. I might not be stating it the way they state it, but they always gonna say, "Hey, try and save the life."
Well, you're a good person, Miss Nadine. You
Huh?
know that you're a good person, a good-hearted person. But a lot of people, you know what? A lot of people take a lot of peer pressure. I think after this administration goes, one thing about Americans, they don't like to be forced to do something. Okay? You know, so I don't think as long as it's not, and I can understand sometimes because I've had conversations with brothers on the other side that were like, man, they ain't wearing nothing. They making us do this, you know. But I wear my mask because I don't want to infect somebody, or I don't want to get infected, I could be
Right.
asymptomatic, and not know it. So if I go around someone, you know, it's just like a common courtesy to me. But some people now, and they will get sick. People have gotten sick because they followed this Pharaoh and his message. Okay, even the Pharaoh got sick. You know what I'm saying? But the
Right.
Pharaoh had a benefit that they did not have. You know, some of those people in Oregon and Minnesota that got sick and died did not have proper health care. They didn't have nowhere to go but home and die. Now those folks got a different conversation when it comes to wearing a mask. And they voted differently because they had to get a wake up call and then they found out they were out there by themselves. The president wasn't gonna come and rub you on the forehead and say, "Yeah, thanks for making America great, not wearing your mask and taking one for the team." No. They was left out there by themselves.
Yeah, they were, but I don't know. They say that a lot of the places where you have these big surges were the places that Trump went to. And I just don't understand why people won't pay attention to that and try to save lives. So I guess it just hadn't hit home for them. You know, maybe that's what it is. It just hadn't hit home, or they don't care.
Well, yeah. Well, it hadn't hit home. I was just reading. Uh, he don't fire somebody else. Trump got a clear house. If you're not loyal and kissing that ring, he gonna let you go before uh, the 20th. But people have a tendency to, especially if you're doing something that's counterproductive to yourself. Okay, you know, if somebody gonna punch you in the face, and the guy that's telling you to go take the punch, don't get punched. At some point, you got to make a decision. But what's happening is people, once it starts to hit their family, they that's a deal breaker for them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, once it started to hit your family, because when those folks in Oregon, Minnesota, and out in Wisconsin lost loved ones, they cut all that mess out. A lot of the rhetoric, they stopped it. And unfortunately, a lot of people, we say maybe he's the Pharaoh. we the children, and this that land. Now, when you look at the Pharaoh back in the day, the Pharaoh kept doing what the Pharaoh was doing. Now, the people that followed the Pharaoh suffered. Okay, so those folks that you know that's follow and and they're gonna do it all the way to the Red Sea thing, and the Pharaoh gonna say, hey, guess what? We can go over there too. But that's what's happening, and I think a lot of people are getting a wake up call. A lot of people are going to, it's just they riding a team that it's just what it is. They think they can win. They think they're invincible until that day happens. You got a family member, a loved one. You can call DC all you want and ask Donald Trump to make sure your mama or your sister or your brother or your husband gets medevac to Walter Reed. You won't get an answer.
Yeah, you're right. Only the special privilege get that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Only the special.
Wow.
On the tax dollars.
Oh yeah. There's some people now. I forgot who's tested positive, but I think with regular people, when regular people find themselves on the wrong side of the aisle, you know, that's when they get a wake up call.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But why should they even wait that long? Common sense. Why don't people use common sense?
Common sense ain't so common. American people got some hard head. These some hard headed folks over here.
They want to keep doing the same thing over and over,
Yeah.
and expecting different results. And sometimes you get it, but you have to limit yourself not to keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over. Like they say, that's a sign of insanity.
Yeah. hey, you know what? If now if you look at a lot of people and you look even our brother here, Burnham Jones. Now we got to give a lot of people a lot of stupid tests. Okay, the virus is one thing, but testing for stupid is something else. I mean, it's highly undetectable. You can be stupid all your life and not know it until somebody gives you that right test. See, when you get the right test, you put yourself in a compromised position. Even myself, I remember I've done something stupid. Okay, because when you're young, you don't think you're invincible. I didn't think I could get left in a city and not know nobody. Because you can tell me that. I said, man, you know what? Somebody always gonna be there to pick me up. Well, when I got left, guess what happened? I got the memo immediately. I knew that, so there are Americans that will not get that memo until they get left. And they get, when they get that final thing, and that's when you know. Now, I was blessed because I'm here now. But there are some people in a position that I was in that did not make it. And that's when you realize, that's when you pray at a high vibration, because you're like, man, goodness. So that's until you get to that point, and that's beyond stupid. It's just you in a position where you just don't believe it can happen to you. And that's what's happening to a lot of people. They feel very invincible.
Yeah. I guess because of me watching people and being in the medical field, I don't take stuff like that lightly. I know that I can get sick or anybody else can get sick. I know the germs travel in the air and nobody is, left out. Anybody can get it. Anybody.
Well, you know what? Off the record, most women respect when they say stuff like the virus. Even some of the women that's on the Republican side. But when they get influenced by either their husbands, their boyfriends, maybe take that mask off. You don't need that. I ain't got it. You ain't gonna get it. And until that day happens, because there was a lady. Matter of fact, I got to pull that up. There's a guy. I think he was in one of those Oregon or Minnesota guys. He lost his. I think he lost his wife. When he lost his wife, he cut all that silliness out. And there was one guy. There was one couple. Both of them died. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so they
Mm.
neither one of them got to get the memo. They got the sentence. Okay, so not that you, but I think under this administration, and I think everybody out there, we're starting to pay attention because a lot of the rhetoric, excuse me, a lot of the rhetoric that we put out, at the end of the day, anybody can die at any given time.
Yeah,
So you don't want to speed up the process.
Right.
exactly. Some of us have already reached that age anyway. It's time for expiration. Why you want to push the button? Put a rush
You
on
ain't
it.
got to. Yeah, if you ain't got to, then even when people, there was a brother, I think he was on Facebook, and he was a young brother, probably I think he was less than 30 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He said that he had pushed the button, he had pushed the envelope, because as a young person, he was going with that theory that young people couldn't do this, couldn't be infected. And when he got it, and the way he described it, the way it affected his respiratory system, he's like that for a minute, for life. Shortness of breath, even though he recovered because his body was strong enough to recover, but he's still in a compromised state of health. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so you know, uh, feeling invincible. Uh, and we got to use common sense. So
Right.
for anyone out there, we got to do that.
Right. Be conscious. Be conscious. Have the conscience on, and stay humble to the fact that like you say, you pray and ward stuff off of you and not to come near you, you and your family, um, and everybody But use your sense. Like you were
Yeah.
saying, common sense earlier, Sylvia. We all think that everybody got common sense. That's what we used to saying
Everybody
growing
begin.
up. But now I'd say just use your senses. The God gave you, or just use your senses. Is supposed to be what?
Okay.
More than five. We know about
Yeah.
five.
Yeah. Some
But
people didn't get them all.
it's more than five. But
Yeah.
it's have to, like you say, pay attention, and know that, like you're saying, you're not invincible. And
Right.
we want to stay alive, but again, you have people just be out, don't even, like at the service station today, I saw people not having on mask and stuff, and I said, at least have a mask on if you are out, the public. But it's good that if one person have it on, if the other one don't, but you be wondering what they thinking about, you
Yeah.
know.
Mask on, washing your hands constantly, wearing gloves when needed. Because I
That's
know when I pump gas, I'm wearing gloves.
gloves. That's
Yeah.
right. And taking them off and throwing them away before you get in the car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I tend to find myself, but I've always been like that anyway. But you know, like they say, even at home, you wipe off the refrigerator, especially if it's more than one person that live in the house, the microwave, whatever's being touched, doorknobs, whatever it come to mind to do. But of course, all of that isn't part of us talking about voting, because we're talking about what's going on right now with this COVID. And I know definitely Miss Sylvia was asking several questions, which is thought provoking for all of us. And that's why we're definitely on the show tonight, to just make sure you still stand on your tippy toes about this election, about this COVID, about life, period. Because if you don't, you will get washed away down the river, okay? And don't
Mm-hmm.
nobody want to do that. Like they say, throw the bath water out with the baby. We don't want that. You know what I mean? That's one of
Yeah.
our sayings. We definitely don't want
Well,
that, but I would say definitely stay encouraged, stay well, and make sure that you do what you're supposed to do. Get back out there and exercise your right. Like I always say, exercise that pen. Then you got a lot to talk about of the results. And I always say, don't stop there. Whoever's in, whether they is your candidate or not, guess what? You be a bugaboo. It's okay.
Yeah.
Let them keep seeing your face, like I was saying earlier, how people really was honking horns just to see go, the vote signs up, and just being consistent, that you don't realize how that changes and what that do to individuals, during the day. You really don't. And it let us know that, having those signs, I wish I had one of the signs in here, having those signs out, let people, that helps to remind them to stay it in their minds about what to do. Even though early voting had started, and like I mentioned earlier, I'm just going to say this, and I'm definitely going to be quiet. Of course, early voting start for the runoff on December 14th. Get your application in if it's a change of address, so you won't have to go to the wrong location. The other things I mentioned, I was intending to mention earlier in reference to uh, change of voting location. Guess what? Go out there on the MPV and to look for your status. Make sure that your voting location have not changed, um, and just be prepared to definitely vote early between that 14th of December through the end of December. And of course, everybody holly jolly because of the holidays. um, but just make sure that you stay, like they say, you stay woke, and don't forget those dates.
With the Christmas holidays coming around, Thanksgiving and Christmas, a lot of people are going to be gathering, which they shouldn't be, which will
Right.
mean even more virus is going to be out there. So that makes it even more important than for you to get your absentee ballot so you can just
Hmm.
turn it in. Because you might not be feeling well by the time January get here. You might be on
You
your
are,
way.
but yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and the weather's been nice. We don't even
Yeah.
know how it's gonna be, but hey, we want to push everybody to go back to the voting location and push that pen. Don't just like we were saying earlier. Oh, I thought it was over. Really?
yeah.
It's never over. Long as you live it. Like
Yeah.
hey, like I
Well,
always say,
it's
hope is
it's
always alive long as you live, and so you
Oh,
need to
yeah.
keep living.
it's an ongoing process. We say over here, you should buy, lease, rent, or own a politician. That means if you buy, lease, or own something, if you lease something, you check on
Hmm.
it all the time. You make sure, if you lease a car, you make sure you get oil changes. You make sure that checkups, the maintenance, you in that place all the time. Well, that's how we have to do our politicians. You know, we
That's
can't.
right.
We got to be on our politicians on a regular, consistent basis. See them
Mhm.
sworn in, and then see them at these city council meetings, local meetings, or if they on wherever medium they on, we need to be there looking at them, seeing how they voted, all this type of stuff. But see how they
Right.
voted on your stimulus check. See how they voted on your Medicare. See how they voted, all this type of stuff. And this goes on all the time. They voting on something else
That's
somewhere.
right.
It's gonna be critical to somebody, you know. So I think when we see the importance of this, uh, you know, we'll participate more. Just like you check to make sure them Jordans. I was telling one of my nephews, man, just like you make sure them Jordans up the speeds, man. Them Jordans, they at 250 right now. That's how you need to be checking your politician.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. And
Like they say.
one thing I want to say now, like they said that the electoral votes, the president, that they're the one who actually vote for the president. So if you think your senators, representatives, whoever the electoral people are going to be voting the opposite of what the people did, give them a call. As a matter of fact, we need to just call them anyway. Make sure they do the right thing.
That's right.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
call them up and make sure they do the right thing, because sometimes, just like they were doing all this crooked stuff before the election, they gonna might try to do it after, because that's why some of them saying Trump Trump won and he's gonna win, he's gonna be on top and all that kind of stuff. They might be planning that, So call your representatives and make sure they do the right thing.
That's
Because
And,
right.
and at this point, I think, you know, when you look at the whole integrity of voting, okay, now this president is that guy. He's that guy that's going to ride the edge. He's that guy that's going to push the envelope. He's that guy that's going to cause some degree of chaos and disorder. Like I said already, and most of these things don't mean nothing because these folks are going to leave in January anyway. But he just got to fire them just so they'll know that he can fire 'em, okay?
mm-hmm.
So this is a sign of someone that's leaving. Now, the rest of us, we have to, we have to be proactive and thinking, and don't let this distract us, from you know, the prize.
Right.
One of the things, and we said it earlier, yeah, all the states. The only thing that this president is riding on, he's not following tradition. It's traditional for a president to give us concession speech. Okay,
Right.
it's 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 traditional for a president to accept the outcome of an election and not create things that undermine the integrity of an election. Right about now, this president puts the United States of America in a position for the rest of the countries, if they were ever going to attack America, this would be it. So uh, the integrity of America is at hand. The Constitution, you know, he's pushing that today. One of the things he's riding on the fact that, and you'll see that a lot of what we call the Trump humpers, they're starting to back because they know that date of December 14th. When that day comes, and the states, you know, direct their electoral vote towards a particular candidate, they know that there's no chance that he can win. But he'll say that rhetoric, and that's the same thing that happened with the guy. Him and another guy that got it. Two non-voters got into altercation about something that they could not even affect or did not even try to affect. You know, so we just gotta keep our heads up. Think is not illegal. You gotta, they outlaw thinking. And we gotta be critical thinking. You gotta look at the news. You gotta weigh the evidence. There's a lot of fake news out there, especially on the internet. There's a lot of people banking on information what they see on Facebook, Twitter, and all those places. If the regular news networks are putting out fake news, you can imagine what's going on Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah, you're right. We only got a couple of more minutes, but before we leave, I just have this question. Trump had to do an oath on the Bible when he went into office.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he abide by his oath?
I don't mean nothing to him.
We know he have not abide by the oath because he was the number one stunner in his time to make sure that he did the complete opposite of what that oath stood for and stand for still today. Okay, I'll say that. That's what I've seen over the last 4 years. No, he hasn't. And if he get another 4 years, he wouldn't.
Ah,
So do you think he's gonna get in office in 4 years?
well, you know what?
He don't need to be running this way. He
Uh,
need to be running up to the moon.
well, yeah, already, I get stuff from the Trump campaign. They asking for money right now. I just got a text. They want $35. They said we got to share. Well, he's already got a program set up for 2024. Now, Trump, I don't know how old Trump is, 75 years old, something like that. You know, it's just chaotic stuff.
He wants to come back and be a big distraction like he has been, and to tear things down. When you keep looking at a person that do stuff like that, like you say, but what, 70 million voted for him, and those are 70 million worth of people that's in the US of A that thinks like he think. Guess what? We know we got to keep our prayers on. We know we got to keep our feet on the ground. And these sessions where, just like we are doing now, where we are reminding people, encouraging people, and educating people, don't give up. Because if they want somebody like that to come back in 4 years, dear, guess what? We better be ready. That's all I got to say.
So we got 1 minute before it's time for us to go. We got 1 minute, actually a few seconds. I want to say thank you guys for all your input. I'm sure you have enlightened somebody, because and it's important that we continue to get out there and vote and encourage people to vote and get everything ready. So when you get ready to vote again, you won't have these obstacles. You have your address in place, you know what precinct you're going to, and everything. We can't give up now. The race is not won yet. Okay.
So
until then, we're gonna say farewell and have a good evening.
Show you right.